I want to get to your military service, but while we're in Half Face, what inspired you? Like, there's lots of stuff you could have done, but why a knife company?
You know, when I was a kid, I had two older brothers and an older sister. My older brothers really loved Western culture and Native American culture, and they loved the outdoors huge, and they were doing wilderness survival, and they're pretty young and snaring animals, and they were really big into making arrowheads, and they'd get leaf springs and get the old benchtop grinders and be grinding knives, you know, and I grew up kind of running around doing that every day. And so kind of grew up, of course, using knives. I've always been an end user, real outdoors family. And then later on, after they died, and I just joined the SEAL teams and used knives on the tactical side and started hunting again toward the end of my SEAL career. I was like working a little bit in LA on movie stuff, and that's kind of fun, but I'm not a fan of LA, and trying to go get jobs is just not my thing. I'd rather be out in the woods. And I was like, I think I was just hungover in the bathtub actually one time, and I was sitting there like, oh man, I was like, what can I do that can support my buddies overseas, support what I love to do, and get me outdoors, mental health, like. And I was like, man, I was thinking about back in the day making knives with my older brothers, and I was like, man, I'm an end user, which is really the best place to come from.
Right.
And I was like, all right, you know, I'm going to start making some knives. I know the shapes that do certain jobs. I know the thickness of steel that, you know, it's going to be needed. So I started doing research on different grinders and whatever steels, some of the best steels for the job. And I was under the awning in my backyard, and I was like, all right, got, you know, the best steel for the job, certain thickness. And I got one grinder, and I was like, all right. And so started drawing stuff up and making knives from there. And I was taking pictures of my learning process. And I started with a pretty simple, like camp style knife, outdoor knife, you know, and I just did 50, and I had a plastic table, and as I was making them, I was posting, and had an email address. I started a little S Corp, you know, and you'd have to email if you wanted to get one of this first 50 knives I was making. And it was like a piece of tape with the person's name and email address on a little plastic table in my house. And I was under the awning, and like by the time those 50, they're like, I was done making them, everybody, like, I had it filled up, so it was pretty random people looking online, and then a lot of them were like good friends or buddies that were like, hey, I want to support you, you know what I mean? So I sold all those first knives for around $300, you know, and I kept 0. And since then, last few years, since the business has just grown and hiring my buddies, we all grew. There was all these people wanted those original knives that we had made, you know, and those knives have gone from $20,000 to $40,000 a knife if you could find one.
Right.
Just the first 50, you know, it was wild. And I never knew, like,
those first 50 knives.
Yeah. And even after that. So originally I was going to actually do a half face logo for each design. So it was like, there was a lion, because my father, before he died, he was an artist, and there's this huge lion painting that's on my wall at my mom's house. So I did a half a lion. The lion is like the protector of his tribe and his people, and he has courage, and it's the meaning behind the symbols, right? So it was a half a lion's face on the first 50, and then the next one was a karambit, and I had half an eagle's face. The next one, it was called the disaster relief knife, and I had half of Zeus's face on it. Then the fourth knife, I was reading up on Custer and some of the Crow Indians that were helping him, the Crow Scouts, you know what I mean? So I designed that one, and that's where I came up with the one with the Indian with the 2 eagle feathers. Yeah. And so then I was like, man, this is gonna be really tough making new designs. How am I gonna come up with enough half faces? So I ended up sticking with that one. I do throwbacks. It's a good choice. Yeah, it's awesome, and it represents so much, you know what I mean? But I do throwbacks to the old original designs, and I'll number them and auction them here and there, which is rad. So, heck yeah, you know, I probably got off course a little bit. So
you went from doing that on your table to how many employees you have now?
38 employees.
Yeah.
And I was just able recently to save up and buy a warehouse, which I'm so stoked. I was looking for 5 years.
Yeah.
Finally got one, build out, moving over there in the next 3 weeks. A lot of stuff going on, but
how many years has it been?
10
years.
Yeah.
So I love this book. I talk about it on the show all the time. Joshi gets on me when I repeat stuff, but I just love this book. It's called The Myth of the Overnight Success.
Okay.
And so
I'll read it.
The premise is everyone sees, you know, you, Andrew, and they like see half face. They see pictures you going hunting, and like, man, that guy's so lucky. He has this knife company, and like it's overnight success, right? Yeah. And people don't see
the work in
no time, the failures, the grinding. They don't see what it took to get there. It's just an overnight success. That theory is a myth.
even if your business is successful and it's growing and you see a lot of success, you also have a serious responsibility for taking care of your people, right? Making sure they're good to go. I feel such a responsibility. Like, even if there's dips in the economy, which the last 2 years, there's been some serious dips, and there's guys who had started that didn't make it. Luckily, we built a brand big enough in our team that we could, make it through some harder times. But you really got to take care of your guys. And the last thing I want to do is get rid of one of my guys who's like married with kids, and that paycheck is putting food on the table. And so it's like, I have this weight on my shoulders sometimes when the economy is down. I'm like, well, okay, how can I be creative? How can I still be successful? I don't want to get rid of guys. I want to make sure these guys are taken care of. They have a job, and it's like, what can I do different, even facing the lack of growth of an economy, because it's going to affect your job. That in of itself, is a bit of a weight for a business owner, right? When they care about their men and their people like a lot.
As I mentioned, we opened. The election just happened. President Trump was inaugurated. Businesses, the economy is going to flourish under President Trump, clearly. What's it mean for you as a business owner? I mean, I think most of the people that watch this show are probably conservative people that are excited President Trump. So maybe there's people that aren't.
Well, honestly, because I've been looking for about 5 years, even during COVID, we did pretty much, we doubled every year till the last year of COVID, which was, I think, 2022. Like, I had been looking before that for a business, a place to buy. And I think everything worked out because the last 2 years have been a little rougher, and everything worked out. This place hadn't come to market. Another SEAL buddy of mine, Nick Norris, found this spot before it went to market, and like, everything worked out. So it was an answer to prayer, the timing to set myself and my team up and my business up for success for this next 4 years, hopefully longer.
We're hoping, 12, 16. I mean, with election integrity, I think we could go. We're going definitely. This is a patriotic country.
And I know we can grow this economy and protect people here better. It's such a low possibility of swinging the pendulum the other way at the end of his term. If the economy is doing good and we're doing good as America, and also our allies. If we do well, our allies will do well, ideally.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, what's up, Resilient family? I am so grateful for each of you who tune in every week to hear our episodes. We have such incredible guests and topics that I am passionate about, our team's passionate about, and we could not do it without you. So we're thankful for you. We love you. We appreciate you locking arms with us to be more informed, to become a more resilient community. And I want to invite you to become a tighter part of that community by joining us on Patreon. If you go to our show notes below, you can click the link and get dialed into our Patreon and get extra content weekly. You can join for $15 a month and get behind the scenes footage, get closer access to me. I have monthly Zooms that I'll be doing with some members of the community. And so we'd love to get more involved. Again, go below in the show notes and click the link and join today.